Okay, so this is one of my clips from Gladiator. It's called Battle in Chains. I'm gonna play some of the video, and then I'll go through each part of the video with you. So this is what it sounds like. Okay, so the first thing I've got here is some footsteps. Actually, no, some sound effects from some chickens in the background, just to give some more realism to the clip. I know it sounds a bit silly on its own, but it works with the whole clip. So as the gladiators are running out of this entrance here, there's some footsteps below in the mix. So you've got them running out to the left and the right, as you can hear. After that, the main character here, Maximus, he's running towards, running further into the battle, so I've got some footsteps there for that as well. Now they do sound a bit loud on their own, but they work with the mix. So actually, in this part here, I've also got the shackles that are strapped to them. That sound is counted for as well. So in this part here, we actually pause it. Okay, so I also have this instrument. Just find it. Which is a Zorna, which is a Balkan instrument. In Greece they use it. It's quite an old instrument. It's a wind instrument, and it's got sort of a bagpipe kind of sound, but a more ear-penetrating kind of sound to it instead. It's kind of harsh, but on its own it sounds like this. So it's got some reverb on it from the altiverb to make it sound like it's outside, and also got a slapper delay. It sounds like it's coming from the audience. Which I think adds quite a lot of realism to this. It sounds really good. We've got the sounds from the gladiators, some groans. So this is a more general one, so it's a bit up front and close. I've got a more medium one here, and a close up. So all three of them together sound like this. Which on their own, they do sound like they've got quite a bit of reverb on them, but in the mix, it actually works very well. I actually learned that technique on my work experience week at Warner Brothers. Everything the mixer I was watching was soaked in reverb, and I asked him about it, and he says doing this kind of editing, when they're on their own, they sound like they got a lot of reverb, but once they're playing in the mix, it all works together if all the reverbs are similar. Obviously, you're not going to use the same reverb for everything, but when you're placing them in an environment, use the same on each sound, and it works well. So okay, so we've got some wind here. Got 3 layers of different kind of wind, just to give some presence to the outside atmosphere. So on top of that, I've added just a general crowd ambience. I've got another one of them. And a third. This is a bit quieter than the rest. The others are more cheery. This is more just shouts from audience members, so single shouts. So it works together. A crowd cheer coming in when something exciting is happening on the screen. Here I've got here some more shouting, upfront shouting from the crowd, just to pop in over the general ambience of the crowd to give some dynamic range to it. Also this one. You know, all together they sound pretty good. So here, for some variants, when he gets hit, when he misses getting sliced here, I've added a... So I got an O from the crowd. So what else I've done here is, obviously there's a lot of people in the arena fighting. Obviously with the battle, with the groans, that has to be accounted for. Lots of people getting hurt. Also, though, the background sword hits were an important thing. So what I've got here is just sword hits very low in the mix with quite a bit of reverb on them. Same altiverb. It's a different altiverb reverb actually. Forest to give more of a outside kind of feeling. So I've got all of these here panned to the left. I've got 6 different layers. I've also got 6 different layers panned to the right. These are very low, but here they sound loud if they're on their own. And as the perspective changes here, I just used the pan to the left sword sounds with more reverb on them. Even they are turned down even lower. You can't see it here because I've actually bounced all of these out into one thing and just used it like that, just to clear up some clutter in the project. But they are a lower volume than the rest. So here the perspective changes when you can't see them and the perspective is further away from what's going on, the battle on the screen. And here it comes in again. So when it comes in again here, this is where you start getting into the real weapon sounds. So the first one I done was one of the first ones I done. So this is just the sound of really this shield hitting his helmet. And on its own it sounds quite bad. Even a bit out of sync. But it's not. So I have that sound there. So this is more of a low end arm hit, and it sounds like his helmet is getting hit and the shield hitting the helmet at the same time. I also have this wooden hit sound. This one does sound out of sync, but it's just the way I've layered these together. Together they all work. I'll show you after. Also some cloth whoosh sounds. They don't sound very nice on their own, but they work within the mix. Also some high whoosh that sound very cartoony. But with all of them sound together, so all the layers here sound like this. And it works very well, and even here you can hear him. You can hear him fall on the floor. I've got this body fall here. And again, that sounds like it's got loads of reverb on it, this sound here. And it does. using a Courtyard Altiverb again. It's got quite sent a lot to the reverb, but within the mix, sounds perfect to me. And after that, we got him. We got Maximus finishing him off. So for that, I've used this wooden hit. Again, very weak on its own, but layered with this hammer gives much more presence to it, though now it sounds very over the top. And also I've layered on, no I have not, it's just these two sounds. Sounds over the top, but in the context of the mix, sounds fine. Now after that, I have a blood splatter sound, which on its own sounds a bit ridiculous, as you can hear. But when you play in the mix, you can only really hear the high frequencies of the sound, and it works very well with it. Listen. So you can just hear the splatter of it, and it sounds very realistic. Well, for a film. Okay, so as we carry on, what I did with all of the scene is add groan. I know I have general battle groans coming in that perspective, but I've also got these single sounds. So, for example, sounds like a rubbish computer game at the moment. But within the mix, as usual, sound great. Now here with this guy, it was quite hard to get it to sound nice, but again, on its own, it sounds okay. Does sound okay, but I had to mix these three sounds in to make it sound like he is running towards this guy in anger and then getting killed, stabbed, whatever it is. So he sounds very off here because sounds do not blend into each other at all. So as he falls, it's kind of a relief of life sound, but when you listen to it in the mix, it sounds very good. It sounds perfect. It sounds like it blends in completely. So just adding those, the sword sound covers the gap. So it sounds like. So I'll play them solo. I'll get the sword sound up as well. This is this one. So the sword sound does cover it up, but not as much as everything together. Okay, so what I did in this next part is I've added some crowd foot stomp chant thingies. So as this goes on, the stomps from the crowd get faster and faster, just a little bit. So what I wanted to do with the music is have the drums fade in from these crowd stomps. So what I did here was add just a instrument from Dark Era, one I've used in one of my previous videos, and it's just called a tympanum romano. It's just like a timpani sound, but it's very tribal and it sounds quite raw, and I've made it sound like it's coming from the audience in this, so it's got a lot of reverb on it. and then my percussion comes in here. And what I had to do here was I had to import this file into another project, and I had to adapt the tempo, which I'm not going to do in this project because I might ruin what I've done. I adapted the tempo to this sound. So when I played in these drums, the tempo was accelerating along with this footstep proportionally, so I didn't have to play the drums out of time on purpose. So as these footsteps get faster, so do these drums. But it's just very low volume underneath, but then the foot stomps fade out and my drums are more prominent, and then the drum pattern changes. And when this drum pattern does change, I've got an orchestra coming in. The music project is on the music. It was made on a different project, so I'm not going to show you that in this video. I bounced it all out and mixed it in with this. It was quite a big project for the music, and putting it all together with all the extra sounds, sound design, would have been far too big of a project, and my computer can't really handle it, so I had to do them separately. But so when the second part of the drums come in, I have some staccato strings coming. Some fast-paced, kind of tense feel to it. Some minor second trills here. Now the part I want to show now is this part here. So now it's like most of the people in the arena have gone, and it's just really 3 of them left, and they're really fighting for their lives now. And with the music, I wanted some more. The music's tense as it is and fast paced, but I just wanted more of a on edge feeling to it here. So I layered the staccato strings with some horns, and it worked. It's got a sense of like urgency here, like kind of keeps you on edge. And then the climax here. This is coming towards the end of the battle. So here we've got the last weapon here of the video. You can hear that. So this sounds very weak. Just some high metallic resonance. We got more of a deeper tone here, low end. And then we have this other high frequency resonant metallic sound. All of them together. Forgive the sound in the background, it's my automated faders moving up and down. Also the guy falling on the floor. And them running up to him. And for some more realism, the chain sounds. One more thing I wanted to show in this video, and it's another fall on the ground. It is when it's around here. No, it's not. Before I show you that, actually, I'll show you something else. So when we got the double sword hits here, there we go. So what I did here was not layer anything. I've just got one sound for each stab here. Okay. This one has more presence. But I haven't actually laid these sounds. I've just put them one right after the other, so you get that more of that feeling from two people stabbing. Even though they do stab him at the same time, and if you play it just this one, it does kind of work. Having them just a little delay between them adds a lot more realism. Okay, so there's another thing I want to show you, which is here. This is something I wasn't very happy with. It's the swinging of this rope here. This chain, sorry. This one doesn't sound too bad. It's more this one. See, on its own, it sounds terrible. Adding the chain effects with it, still sounds terrible. It doesn't go with what's happening on the screen. But when you play it like this, you can barely hear it. You can just hear the low end whoosh, and it kind of does work. And so just pushing it down a bit in the mix and kind of trying to mask it has helped a lot here. Another thing, I've explained the perspective of the swords already, but with the audience, there's also a change in perspective when the scene changes. So I've showed you with the swords. Also, same with the groans. So when the scene is more close up, you've got a closer. You've got closer groan sounds to work with, but when the scene changes, they have to become very distant, and then change back when the scene changes. So there's one more thing I want to show you, which I'm having trouble finding at the second. Which I will find. It's just somewhere here. Yeah, this is it here. So when this guy pushes this guy off of him after he's beat him, not that, but here we go, we'll show you that as well. So this is when the guy hits the shackle off. Very chainy, kind of rattly hit sound, and high, give some metallic resonance there, some high frequency. But the part I wanted to show you is this part, beginning of this part here. So these body falls. So the way I've made his body fall here on the sand is I've got a separate one for his head hitting the floor. I've got clothy kind of fit with lots of reverb in it, and I've got a body fall. On their own, they sound all kind of rubbish, but together on their own, sounds quite realistic in the context of the mix. It sounds quite good. Also, another thing I've done here is, other than putting the general groans of the people fighting, like I've shown you, I've also got some separate sounds here, separate groan sounds and pain sounds. So when this guy comes, now it doesn't sound very good. So I've got what I had to do here was make it like he's running in anger towards this guy, like lost hopes, last breath, and then fails, gets killed. Now it sounds very clippy here. It doesn't blend in at all. So it's like this is where he loses his life. The last clip. But again, in the context of the mix, it works very well. The swords, the ambience and the sword sounds mask that gap. So it actually sounds quite realistic with everything playing. Okay, so also in this video, I have so towards the end, some horns come in here, and it's more like celebratory relief, as in the battle's almost over. They know they're kind of gonna win now, and the audience kind of gets that feeling of like it's kind of a motivational, like inspirational feeling of the protagonist in the movie is overcoming this obstacle. Yeah, and that's about it. All these moans, groans, and screams have been treated all like dialogue. Just a little bit of EQ on them and some reverb. Everything's got quite a lot of reverb on it. All the sound effects have the same reverb, and most of the sound effects, including like these footsteps here, have no compression at all on them. I didn't hardly process them. I just leveling and layering. That was all I needed for the realism. Yeah, and that's really about it for this video. Hope you liked it, and thank you.